Hello, my name is Cyclone, and today we're going to be taking a look at tropical low 04P, located in the Coral Sea. Invest 90P is its official global designation, and it is expected to become a significant tropical cyclone on approach to the Queensland coastline, where it could be making a landfall anywhere between Cairns right down to Bundaberg or Gympie sort of area, Hervey Bay, that sort of area in southeastern Queensland. Now, the forecast of this is rather uncertain. There's a lot of variables still in this forecast, so I can't really be saying for sure what's going to happen with this tropical cyclone, but I'm going to give you a really good idea of what could happen in regards to this tropical cyclone over the coming couple of days. So you can see on the satellite imagery right now, located over the Coral Sea, located about here actually, it's just towards the south of the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. It's wrapping itself up quite nicely. It's expected to become a significant tropical cyclone over the next couple of days as it moves towards the Queensland coastline. We'll take a look at the GFS wind speeds right now. Now, the GFS is notoriously unreliable in terms of peak wind speeds in tropical cyclones and very strong storms. So we're going to be going off pressure here and relating that pressure to estimated wind speeds, so we'll probably end up adding maybe 50 knots to the peak intensity of the storm as per the GFS's latest forecast. But you can see winds on the northern side of this system about 25 to 30 knots from the west, so it's a strong tropical low at this point. You can see that with the thunderstorms that it's firing up. Now, keeping track of time on the bottom part of your screen, you can see it really doesn't move. Actually, it just sits over the same spot of water for the next couple of days. And it looks like it gets named into the next Australian tropical cyclone Saturday night or into Sunday morning, depending on how it applies to that gale rule. In fact, with that central pressure of around 985 millibars by Saturday evening, it looks like it's going to pick up its name on Saturday evening and become its fully fledged tropical cyclone status then. And the next name on the Australian naming list is Cyclone Kirrily. So that's the name that the system is most likely going to get. So if you live on the Queensland Pacific coastline, make sure you're listening out for the name of Kirrily in the forecasts and on the news, because that is the system that's going to be barreling towards you as this system wraps itself up. And as we get into Sunday and Monday, you can see it undergoes rapid intensification, becoming a very strong tropical cyclone by Sunday evening of around Category 3 proportions, actually, on the Australian scale. I know the winds are obviously quite wrong here because it is the GFS, it's a low resolution model, and it really doesn't give us a good idea of how strong the wind speeds are around the centre. But a pressure of 970 millibars screams Category 3 to me, at least high-end Category 2. And it doesn't stop strengthening there. It's in the high 950 millibar pressure by around lunchtime on Monday. You can see it's getting quite close to some of the reefs on the Queensland coastline. It's getting close to Leher Reef, Marion Reef, and then down here towards Frederick Reef, and I believe that is a ship moving through there, not a reef. But you can see it's getting quite strong as it moves towards these reefs in the Coral Sea. Pressure now in the 950s on Tuesday around lunchtime, and this is certainly a cyclone of Category 4 proportions at this time. This is a strong and strengthening system as well, and it's a very, very concerning forecast for the Queensland coastline if I'm just looking at this. Peaks off with pressure of, I believe, oh geez, getting all my arrows mixed up here. I believe at 950 millibars, Wednesday afternoon, early afternoon, a pressure of 950 millibars. So it's probably a low-end Category 4 strength tropical cyclone here, before it gears up for its final approach on what looks to be around Gladstone, just towards the south of Rockhampton, making a landfall on Miriam Vale, I believe, just outside of Gladstone as a Category 3 strength tropical cyclone. So it's going to be on this weakening trend, which is the consensus that the forecast models are giving us, but it's still going to be a powerful, severe tropical cyclone upon landfall as per this forecast. And then throughout Thursday and Friday, it moves inland. It's going to drop an incredible amount of rainfall, especially across the Scenic Rim and some of the Blue Mountains just outside of Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and on the Sunshine Coast, we'll be seeing totals approach 500 millimeters from this tropical low, or the remnants of this cyclone. You can see Friday still, it's probably a Category 2 strength tropical cyclone here still, and it moves through the Sunshine Coast as a strong cyclone still, at least Category 1, maybe a Category 2, and you'd be seeing cyclone force winds extending right down to the Gold Coast. So Brisbane is likely to be put under a cyclone watch at the very least if this forecast is to materialize. But the GFS is just one scenario out of many that we've been looking at. And I said at the start of the video, the forecast for this system is uncertain. We know that a cyclone is going to develop, and we know that a strong one is likely. And we know if it does get itself over land, a lot of rainfall and damaging winds are expected. but we just don't know whereabouts this cyclone could go if it does impact the Queensland coastline at all. So now we're going to take a look at the Access G3 model, which is the Bureau of Meteorology's own forecast model, and see what is in store for Queensland. You can see over the Coral Sea, it really does develop on Friday and into Saturday. It spins itself up quite nicely, becoming a Category 1 strength tropical cyclone Saturday morning around 10 or 11 a.m. local time. And it really refuses to strengthen until about Sunday. And this is when we start to see the cyclone engage in rapid intensification. Its first phase of rapid intensification will occur on Sunday night into Monday morning as it stalls around and moves around on the outer reefs of the Great Barrier Reef and the Coral Sea. And it becomes, 970 millibars. You're probably looking at a Category 3 strength severe tropical cyclone by Monday afternoon, local time, and it continues rapidly strengthening until about Tuesday, when it looks like it's going to peak off. The pressure in the high 950s or low 960s at this point, still a Category 3 strength tropical cyclone, maybe even a Category 4 at this point. And this is when it starts to stall over the Coral Sea. So Tuesday and Wednesday, it basically doesn't move at all until about Wednesday evening, when it looks like it gets pushed towards the Queensland coastline. It's still probably a Category 4 at this point, actually, and it looks like it strengthens a little bit as it approaches its landfall. So we're looking at a stronger situation than what southern Queensland gets from the GFS model. The pressure in the 950s as it makes landfall on Townsville. Once again, weakening on approach to land, but still a Category 3 strength severe tropical cyclone making landfall just outside of Townsville and driving those really destructive winds in its core right on top of Townsville. And they'll likely receive a pretty significant amount of storm surge if this forecast is to materialize. So you've just got the two major scenarios that we've seen. Both of them involve a landfalling severe tropical cyclone, but you can see just the amount of uncertainty in whereabouts this storm is going to hit. It could landfall anywhere between Cairns right down towards Bundaberg. Now, the GFS model is historically the more accurate forecast model, so I'm more inclined to follow their situation right now. The Access G3 model is just too much of a complex track for me to really get myself behind at this point. The GFS is a straightforward, simple track line that these cyclones regularly take. So I'd be more inclined to follow the GFS forecast, but either way, both forecasts are certainly possible to happen. In fact, they are likely to happen at this point, and Queensland is on notice to receive a severe tropical cyclone impact from this system. It is looking quite likely indeed, that's for sure. Now we'll touch quickly on rainfall, and then we'll take a look at the impacts in terms of sea surface temperatures and what that could do to the tropical cyclone. But you can see over the next 10 days, because the storm's going to be moving quite fast throughout northern Queensland, you're not seeing ridiculous rainfall accumulation. There will be some locations that pick up around 400 to 500 millimeters, especially outside of Huandon, and as I said, inland is where the bulk of the rainfall will be, but you're not looking out for drastic sort of 800 millimeter locations that pick up a ridiculous amount of rainfall. It's just sort of widespread 200 to 400 millimeters, which again can cause flooding, but it's not going to cause this life-threatening, widespread, catastrophic flooding situation that we've seen up in the Northern Territory with that tropical low up there. And the GFS model is slightly more concerning in terms of rainfall. You can see around the landfall site, you could be seeing places pick up to 400 or 500 millimeters of rain around Bundaberg, Harvey Bay, and then down in towards Gympie sort of area. But then on the scenic rim and just outside of the Gold Coast and the Brisbane metro area and the mountains there, you'll be seeing places pick up to 500 to even 600, maybe even 700 millimeters, maybe outside of Beaudesert around Coomera area as well. You'll be seeing a lot of rainfall falling from the remnants of the cyclone as it moves through, and it will be widespread in excess of 500 millimeters as well. So if this forecast materializes, you're looking at a big rainfall situation across the Brisbane metro, the Gold Coast metro, right down towards Lismore and Grafton as well. So that's a more worrying forecast in terms of the impacts from this cyclone and also the amount of people that will likely be affected by this system as it moves through towards the Queensland coastline. But yeah, those are the two big scenarios that we've been looking at, and those are the two likely scenarios at this point. Now, keep in mind, I'll be bringing you the latest in terms of coverage on the Cyclones List channel, so make sure you are subscribed and leave a like on the video while you're at it, because it really does help us out. But the conditions that are ahead of this system are concerning because they are very, very favorable. Sea surface temperatures around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. That's well and truly enough to support a Category 5 strength tropical cyclone, and it'll be enough to rapidly intensify the tropical cyclone as well. And these very warm waters extend right down towards Bundaberg and even down towards Harvey Bay and Brisbane, so the cyclone will have ample fuel to rapidly intensify as far south as the New South Wales-Queensland border if it does get down that far. So anywhere north of there is likely to receive a strong cyclone if they do get lined up in the forecast models. But anyway, that is all that I have time for in this video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and tell me how I can improve it in the comment section down below. But that is all from me. I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.